So Ryan and I are really excited to share with you some updates that we have coming, or some things that have been recently released as it relates to our 3 different solutions. So we're going to talk about each one of those. I think we're going to start off with, if we can just talk about a little bit around how improvements get made and our approach to improvement. So as you could expect, being in the feedback space, we are always driving our feedback with you in mind. And so our improvements, I should say, are driven by the feedback that you provide. So everything's very customer-centric first approach for us. So the feedback that you send us through support tickets or, having conversations with myself really drives everything that we do at Satisfied. So if you've thought of something that maybe you haven't shared with us yet, please do so. There'll be information more around how to do that at the end of this particular section. But oftentimes we find that if a couple people start asking for it, there tends to be a few more. And next thing you know, it's something probably everyone wants, whether they know it yet or not, and maybe just haven't spoken up yet. And for the reason why we drive a lot of this change is really to improve things for you. And so you may not always see the improvements because it may be more behind the scenes, but our technology stack really tries to leverage the latest technology. So this is something that we do, that we provide to you, that's always coming out. It allows for you to have a better user experience. So things are faster. Everyone's very impatient. We want things to load right away. And also allows us to deploy more changes and improvements out faster as well. So again, allowing you to continually get better. The other thing that we hear of oftentimes, security, that's something that's very important to all of us with our customer data and information that we can all relate to. And so with using the latest technology, we're also making things more secure for you and your customers as well. And we're just trying to create more flexibility and scalability. That allows more customization, personalization that you can do for your team and staff at your dealership or at your organization, as well as for your customers that just drive better experiences for everyone involved. So I want to get started. We'll talk a little bit about some recent updates and things that are coming as it relates to our Voice of Employee program. So on the employee experience side, something new that we are doing in addition to our in-depth survey that we do on an annual basis, as well as the pulse process and keeping in touch with employees, is anytime feedback. So now your employees will have an option to be able to leave you feedback at any point in time throughout the year. This is something that they can do anonymously, or if they want to be identified for follow-up, but may alleviate some need on your human resources to be either receiving this information, the old-fashioned sort of suggestion card process, or maybe you have a sort of secure hotline that allows people to provide feedback. This can all be done digitally now online, and you'll be notified anytime a response comes in. The other thing we have released recently is location-specific reporting. So when we look at the data that we collect from your employees for your organization, we aggregate it, we look at it from a lot of different viewpoints, right? Looking at your different departments, and we compare locations to one another. But we heard over time that, the store managers want to see how their team is performing, and we may not want to share, right, across store to store, that level of information. And so you can now get a simple one-pager that lets that store manager or GM maybe know how their team is doing, how they feel about their supervisors in that store and their engagement levels. So be sure to check that out. And then the other thing too is we've been leveraging text messaging a lot over the last couple of years. I think it's something that dealers are moving towards more and more when it comes to communicating with their customer base. But we're also doing this too with employees. So you may have employees that don't have email addresses, or maybe they don't check their emails very frequently. And we found a lot of success in reaching employees through text message invites to allow them the opportunity to share their feedback when we are going out and asking for them to participate in a survey. So make sure that that's something you're leveraging as well going forward. And then on the review side, something new that we have coming out soon is going to be an updated funnel. And with the funnel is how we create your landing page that really allows us to control the reviews that are going out on behalf of your dealership. And with this new release, we're going to be able to create more personalized experiences for your customers when leaving feedback. So, if they've had a positive experience, we can create a page that's tailored to that. And then for those that maybe are a bit unhappy, who didn't have the best experience, we can create a custom workflow and experience for them to have as well. So again, you've probably heard me say this a few times now, but customizations, personalization, that's definitely something that's trending and that we are really trying to drive throughout all of our programs. And then on the voice of customer, Ryan is going to take this over and share some updates that are coming soon here.
Thanks, Emily, and thanks for the updates on all the reviews and employee sat. So Emily talked a little bit about how we're trying to make things faster and better, and that's absolutely a core focus, listening to our customers and trying to drive that change. Some of the stuff that we've done historically is, we released some new dashboard reporting that was really driven by dealer feedback. And so, you have dashboards now that are accessible in the application today. We also released version 4 of our application. So we started building Satisfied back in 2001. And this is our fourth rewrite that we released in the summer of 2022. Our goal there was really more about cleaning up the system and less about making a lot of changes to the user interface so that we didn't disrupt users' experience. And so what we're focusing on version 5 of the application, which is in beta testing now, is really making it easier and faster, and some of the key bullet points that Emily touched on. And you can see on the screenshot there that we have on the slide that that's kind of a quick preview of what it looks like. And so I'll give you a demo here towards the end of my presentation, but I'm going to walk through a couple of key areas that we're focused on. So one of the areas is the flexible viewing options. So dealers have different types of employees in their organizations in different areas, and they want to be able to sort of fine tune who gets to see what and who can do what. And so we have the ability now for the administrator of the application to be able to manage what we call roles. And those are effectively the rights that users get to do in the application. So can they edit an address verification record that's getting ready to distribute? Can they add a new one? There's an administrative access, like can they delete surveys and things? So much more granular ability to be able to do that. The other thing that we found is dealers are like, hey, I really only want this user to have access to reporting. So when they log into the application, I don't want them to go into individual surveys. I don't want them to edit anything. And so you can just go in there and create a user that just has report access. And when they log into the application, the only thing they'll see is reporting. And like I talked about a little bit, we have a couple different concepts of deleting surveys, but when a survey gets returned, sometimes it may be returned from an employee in the organization, or it may have an inappropriate language or things like that you just don't want in your system. And so an administrator can have access to be able to delete the survey, as well as when a survey comes in that's pending distribution. So we've got a transaction, we've converted it into a survey, and it's going to get sent out in a couple of days. Some users can have the access to actually delete that survey so that it doesn't get distributed and the invitation doesn't go out. So just making sure that we give you those abilities to manage that role-based security at a granular level. Customization. So we're hearing about this everywhere, obviously not just at Satisfied, but people really want things to be personalized. And we believe that with some customizations, and I think it's just the beginning, we can improve our response rates. And so giving you the ability to be able to personalize your invitations that get sent out to customers on behalf of your dealership. So if you want to have special wording in it, or you want special logos, or you want some other information along with the link to take the survey, we have the ability to do that in version 5 of the application. We also have the ability to create personalized survey questions. And so in the past, we've kind of hesitated a little bit on doing this just to keep a really consistent and bulletproof process that allows for great benchmarks and great insights and things like that. But occasionally we get the question of, hey, I want to ask this question, or I want to temporarily get some insights around this. And so now we have the ability to do that in version 5. And then also there's a lot of email alerts that get sent to your internal users as far as, surveys that get returned or weekly address verification or things like that. And so those type of alerts will be able to be customized in case you want to share some personal suggestions about how to handle issues or, personalized information around address verification for your organization. That will all be have the ability to be customized and changed. So some great functionality on the personalization and customization. Integrations. We think that this is a really critical part of our long-term strategy. A lot of organizations have CRMs, reporting solutions, all other tools that they're using, and some employees are interacting in those tools multiple times a day, daily, weekly. And so we want satisfied information to be available where you are accessing data on a regular basis. And so, for a while, we've had an integration with Handle CRM by Customer Tracks. And we just created an improvement in that where there's a direct link. So you can link directly to the survey, get access to that survey. So some neat functionality, and we're continuing to work with Gordon at Customer Tracks to improve that integration. We also are working with Target. There's some, I think, beta reports that are being deployed or have been deployed with some mutual clients of ours. And the really neat thing about that process is that you have operational data, so sales data, transactional data, things like that, that are in your system and being reported in your BI tool. And you want to be able to see the customer satisfaction data along with some of that sales data. There can be some really powerful insights driven by combining CX or customer experience data along with operational data. And so Target is building reports that bring those two data streams together. Anvil, we've been speaking with Jason at Anvil about the integration, and he seems very open to doing that. And so we're going to work together on that, but another CRM solution that equipment dealers have been leveraging. The other thing is that we want to give you the ability to collect surveys on your website. So, if you have a contact us page or you have a place where you want to be able to provide kind of anytime feedback to users that are on your site, we can provide a link. And then when your users on the site, if they submit that survey off that link, it'll come into the Satisfied application and run the same process. So if there's an issue with that survey, we'll alert those users that are subscribed to issues. You'll be able to see those results all in a consolidated place. And so there's some great ways to be able to make sure that when you think about your organization and the holistic customer experience and the data that's being collected, that it's in one place and you can resolve it. The other thing we had some requests, which was customer-driven innovation, was organizations sometimes have their own marketing platforms for customer communications. And one of the questions was, hey, can we send out the link ourselves? We've got this marketing platform where we want to invite customers to take surveys, or we want to customize a trigger action where someone completes a service experience, and then we send out the survey via text ourselves, and we want to embed the Satisfied link in there so that the survey is available to that customer. So you can actually get a specific URL for that customer. So when the customer completes that survey from an internally created invitation, that we know who it was, we collect the Satisfied platform, and then once again, it starts to use the standard workflow. So, and if you have any other integrations or ideas that you think would be great, by all means, reach out to us. We really think this is a critical component of moving forward. All right, AI-based intelligence. This is really neat, and it's coming like a storm. And if you haven't heard about it, do research. Go open up an account at ChatGPT from OpenAI. But what's really happening here is there are tools out there now that can offer amazing suggestions and insights into things that maybe we just naturally don't come up with, or maybe it's not articulated in the same way. And so what we're looking to build into Satisfied is the ability to say, when you're looking at an individual survey, and so that screenshot at the top of the page is if you go into Satisfied and you look at the survey results, that's kind of the results. And what I did as an example is I just simply took all of this, copy and pasted those survey results out of the survey in Satisfied and pasted it into ChatGPT. And on the front end of that, I said, hey, how should I respond to the customer about their comments in regards to the survey? And ChatGPT generated that comment that you can read down below. but it effectively, intelligently looked at the customer's responses, looked at whether they were high or low, looked at their comments, and then generated a customer specific response that you could then return, back to the customer. And I'm not recommending that we're at a place where you could just take, copy and paste that and hit send. I do think you have to look at something like that, make some changes and edits, personalize it a little bit, clean it up, but it's an amazing basis for creating really well articulated messages back to your customers. The other thing I thought was really cool that I did was I took a list of 20 comments on the, and I'll show you in our application where you can go get the comments. I took a list of 20 comments, pasted it into ChatGPT, and on the front end of it said, how do you think I should improve training in my organization based on the comments that we are getting from customers in this survey? And then followed with all those survey responses. And ChatGPT gave me a great response on, well, based on what customers are saying in this area, you should think about doing this and that. And it's amazingly powerful. We want to integrate that intelligence into Satisfied so that you don't need to copy and paste. You can just quickly hit, analyze with ChatGPT. We want to make sure that we're working through the proper security protocols to make sure that data isn't available, proprietary data is not available out there or in the wild, so that all of your information is protected. And as soon as we work through that, we'll definitely get some beta users on and testing the solution. All right, so let me give you a quick demo of the new Satisfied V5. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. All right, dialed in. Perfect. So one of the things that you'll notice, Emily, everybody can see my screen fine? Okay, awesome. So one of the things you'll notice is that historically in the Satisfied application, our menu bar runs along the left side of the page. And what we realized is that really removes a lot of the real estate from being able to view the content that's important. And so we've moved that to the top menu bar. And so you can see dashboards is where we are right now. And it just opens up and allows people to use a lot more of the space. So similar reporting as you're seeing today. We've changed some of the names a little bit to be more insightful around what we're doing. So you'll see that we have feedback here. And if you want to look at surveys, you just simply click surveys. And then in this case, this is all sample dummy data. All the results load top to bottom, and you can see we get a lot more space. We lost 4 or 5 inches before in the previous app. And we have pagination as well. So you can go ahead and paginate through the different surveys. And there's an action menu that allows you to do certain things on the page, pull down your saved search. So a lot of similar functionality from before. If I want to look at individual surveys, I can click the survey row. And once again, you have an action button at top. I can scroll down. And this is where I just simply went through and highlighted this stuff when I went to ChatGPT, pasted it out. But if you wanted to download it or email it, and if you have access rights, like we talked about with some of the role security, which usually only client administrators have, you can do different functions there. So a lot of great features. If I want to look at just the comments, I can go ahead and click on comments. I'm going to remove the 30-day mark because some of the sample data has older dates. And then I can look at individual comments. And this is an example of where I exported this data by simply clicking the hamburger button in the upper corner, exported out to Excel, and then took this information and put it in ChatGPT and asked a question on the front end. So a lot of similar functionality that you've seen. I won't go into all of it. Issues, save search. On invitations, these are all the pending invitations that are going to be distributed. So address verification that comes along on a weekly basis for some users. This is where you would access that information, make changes. And also we've moved some of the functionality that used to be in the menu up into the gear. So here in settings, you simply click settings, and then we have the ability, depending on what access rights you have, to be able to make changes in the system, see the different users and contacts if you're doing contact exclusion, domain exclusion, things like that, export functionality. And so that's a lot of the stuff. We have moved everything into the profile for your specific user settings, which you can either access through settings or through profile, but this is where we'll allow you to make changes on email addresses and time zones and languages and things like that. So that is just a quick overview of kind of the visual changes that we've made to the application. And like we said before, if somebody's interested in being a beta user for that, we're very interested. But this is, it's actually running live, and we've been using it since about February. And as a user, you will have the ability to be able to use either the current version of the application or version 5 of the application simultaneously, because they're both working against the same live production data. So this will not require an immediate cutover, and allow a little bit more flexibility to be able to get familiar with the application, use either one until we have a full transition. So hopefully that was informative. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to answer anything I can, or reach out to support@satisfied.com.
Great, thanks, Ryan. And we have here a few questions already. So the first one, it's about the integration from Target. So it says, are you moving data from Target into Satisfied to automate survey initiation, or are you only providing data back into Target?
That's a great question. So as it relates to the reporting today, we are only moving data into Target to report off of. We actually are working with an existing client where we get the transactional data that is driving the survey process from Target and not from the business system. Obviously, that transactional data comes from the business system into Target, but Target has written a process that automates providing us that transactional data. And I think the reason behind that was a little bit more flexibility in modifying what transaction data is sent to us and what is not.
Awesome, thanks. Oh, and actually, I thought I had more, but it's just this one. So if anybody has any more questions, you have Ryan's and Emily's contact information. And also, Emily or Ryan, do you want to talk about what is the process that our customers can take to provide feedback?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
absolutely.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan. I was just gonna say, on the screen, right, we talk about if you have feedback or suggestions, obviously you can contact either one of us directly, but we also have our support queue. You can email support@satisfied.com at any point in time that you have additional feedback, I think, or if you have questions that pop up later in today's sessions, feel free to post those in there again, or you can certainly reach out to us directly as well. But I think that drives a lot of the feedback we get today, and changes are based on, comments from you guys, whether that's in conversations or meetings or through requests that we get into our support queue.
Yeah, and I would say, with version 5 of the application, we have created a lot of opportunity for being able to make changes. We're using a tech stack React that is really flexible and has a lot of power. And so if you see cool features and functions in other applications that you're using that you think would be great, send me an email. I'm happy to jump on a call and talk through some of that stuff. As Emily spoke about earlier, we really want this to be customer-driven innovation, and we want our product to be a great product and deliver a lot of value. So even if you don't think it's maybe the best idea, or you're not sure exactly how to articulate it, give me a call. Happy to discuss it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for giving us an update on everything that is coming. Everything sounds very exciting and interesting.